Okay, let's take a look at this equation here. On page 31, we have the fugacity section. You say the escape tendency, escape would have been...
No, just let me. It's not the question of East Pakistan and West Pakistan now. It's also the question in the same position in the United States. Sometimes it is the Democrats who are winning, and sometimes the people are the same. But there is a small but a significant majority, significant proportion of people who do not vote.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In no case, except in the communist countries, there are people who are supposed to vote 100%, but no.
Yeah, but that's not the question I was asking, but I wanted you to explain it in terms of low fugacity and vapor pressure. I don't know, that's the question I was confused. Explain what you're talking about in terms of low fugacity and vapor pressure.
Who has low fugacity?
Yeah.
Traditional society to come off the traditional societies are neutral people.
So in this situation, who has the low fugacity? The East Pakistanis, the West Pakistanis?
They are neutral people, and neutrons do not have any fugacity.
But how about in terms of...
part of the system. Neutrons are a part of the system.
Yeah.
But they do not want to play a major role. The neutrons do not play a major role.
Okay. Well, let's go to the next equation here. So down here we're talking about the escape of an individual from a society, as well as his migration to and absorption from a different society, can be related to the vapor pressure of a solution. And so the reverse of vaporization is condensation, as shown in equation 2.1. So if you have a liquid society and we add heat, then we have a reversible vaporization condensation reaction, and these are the evaporates. And
this is important for me.
it's what?
This is important for me.
Why?
Because the liquid gets evaporated and the vapor is there. It has the vaporization is balanced, heat of vaporization, latent heat of vaporization is the same as latent